ये भी शादी रात को बैठ के रूम कर रहा है। हाँ, ये सब टाइम ऑफ हेल्थ डिग्री। السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Welcome to the session Preparing for Ramadan, Managing Through the Month. And my name is Mu'mina Abdullah. Again, welcome to the session. Please tell me in the chat first. Type number 1 in the chat if you're able to hear me well. Just type 1. Okay. All right, great. Thank you. So where are you coming in from? Where are you tuning in from? Okay, KSA, Birmingham, Minnesota, nice. Dubai, nice. Neighbors. North Carolina, that's my hometown, my home state. My hometown is Durham, North Carolina. Where are you from in Durham? Okay, we have London, nice. Durham, okay, mashallah, nice. It's very rare. It's very rare that I encounter someone who's from where I'm from. Springfield, Massachusetts, nice. Sharjah, yes, that's fine. Yes, you can share the Zoom link, it's fine. Okay, great. What do you want to learn in this session? Okay, so you're from Springfield and lived in Durham. Nice. Preparing healthy, easy meals in Ramadan. Okay. What do you want to learn in this session? Healthy meals for a breastfeeding mom. Okay. Anyone else? Want to see what you have to offer. I have children on the autism. Go back, it's going a little bit fast. Okay, I have children on the autism spectrum and have heard of GAPS diet. Okay, it's okay to not always have the expected Ramadan every day as we have kids to take care of. Okay, lose weight. I want to see the best way to pair foods together to get the most benefit. Okay, nice topics, mashallah. Okay, okay. All right, so I just started a second recording so I could see your chats later on. How to be hydrated during Ramadan, how to manage fatigue. Okay, good topics. Keep adding as we go along. Okay. So what comes to mind when you think of preparing for Ramadan? What comes to mind? Okay. Spiritual journey, having a schedule for Quran and lessons, cooking. It feels a bit draining. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Feeling hungry and doing more ibadah. Okay. So are these things that you are preparing yourself for? Okay, Quran, long nights of salah, getting close to Allah. Yes, very nice. Out of routine with children. Okay. Wanted to spend least amount of time in the kitchen so it can focus on ibadah. Okay, nice. Trying to prepare balanced meals, keep things clean, and increase in worshiping, reading Quran on every salah or in every salah. Okay, good. Any feelings come about when you think about preparing for Ramadan? Okay. Anxiety, excitement, hope, yeah, a little bit anxious. Mhm. Anxiety, fear of missing out the best of the month. Yes, subhanAllah. May Allah allow us to reach it and to benefit from it. Okay. Unsure, pressure to prepare meals, feeling overwhelmed. Okay. What's overwhelming, Verena? Okay. Very nice shares. Please feel free to continue to share. Okay. You'll be working, so a lot of juggling. You get overwhelmed, excited but scared to tackle everything related to the household. Yeah. Time management of all tasks. Okay, nice. Okay, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing those points. Yeah, these are all feelings that come up when we think about preparing for Ramadan, how our schedule is going to change, meals will change, timings will change, um, and how to get everything done while maximizing on what we really want to do, which is, like you mentioned, getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reading more Quran, praying more, praying during the night. And then, of course, you'll be fasting as well. So trying to put all of these things together. Yeah, long days, short nights, all the things that need to be done. Yeah, thank you. So before we continue, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an educator. I have over 2 decades in the field of education in different capacities. I'm an entrepreneur, so I have owned and run different types of businesses over my years. I'm a homeschooling mother of 9 and a certified coach in 3 areas, that's gaps, life, and body correction. And I've been supporting moms with fixing their health and the health of their children for over a decade, alhamdulillah. Okay. So we're going to talk about common vibes, do's and don'ts, and how to manage. Allahumma barik, mashallah. Mashallah. That's very nice. Allahumma barik, Amina. Okay, so common vibes in Ramadan. And these are some of the things that we see cross culturally, no matter where you are in the world. These are things that are common when it's time, when Ramadan is close and during the month of Ramadan. And so, as Muslims, it's kind of something that brings us all together because we're all experiencing it. And there's changes here and there, culturally, of course, but we all have, this common feeling that comes about when it's time for Ramadan. So, in a lot of households, you bring out special foods. And here, when you go in a grocery store, it's like the whole front of a grocery store will just change like overnight. So whereas you might have like just your normal grocery items, when it's Ramadan, you'll see things like a floor to ceiling stand of Vimto or um, Tang or um, what else comes out? Samosa wrappings. So it's like common that in many households and in many cultures, there are special foods for the month of Ramadan that you're just expected to have. A lot of people stick to their traditions. So you have Ramadan traditions, so whether that is, you know, decorating. So like here we have decorations that light up the streets for Ramadan. People change things around. They might have certain things they bring out during Ramadan. So there are traditions that people have for the month of Ramadan, and they like to stick to it. They don't want to veer off of it. So it's again, it's an expectation that when is Ramadan, this thing is going to happen, or we're going to see this, these changes happen. There's lots of visiting. Um, it's very uncommon to go through Ramadan without visiting family, relatives, close friends, eating together. So this is something that is common, again, around the world when it's Ramadan. People share, they share food. So a lot of things revolve around sitting together, eating together, and sharing food. Many people are in a celebratory mood. And now, although Ramadan is not something that you celebrate, we celebrate Eid afterwards, but we don't celebrate Ramadan. People feel celebratory, like they are happy that it is Ramadan, that they reached Ramadan, and so they're in a good mood. But with that comes the things that we do when we celebrate. So we have special food items that actually can't be more decadent than what you would normally eat on a regular daily basis. We have more sweets, more cakes, and so you have this celebratory mood and the foods that come along with it for the entirety of the month. And then you have a schedule shift. And I think one of the sisters mentioned it earlier that your schedule changes. And a lot of times by the end of Ramadan, your schedule is just fluid. And one of the sisters mentioned earlier about having a schedule with the kids. Yeah, by the end, schedules out the window. So all of these changes happen during the month, starting before the month, and then throughout the month. But it's important to have a mindset to remain healthy throughout the month. And this is where we want to start, you know, really thinking about with all of the changes that happen during the month of Ramadan, with the expectations, with the traditions and the special foods, how can we still keep a mindset that we still want to be healthy? We still want to maintain what we have of health and not throw everything out the window. Because there are some people who really do, you know, if you were to say to them, well, you know, I'm watching my sugar intake, and they'll be like, no, it's Ramadan, it's okay, you know, just have this or just have that. And there are some people who that is their mentality that it is Ramadan, and so I'm going to just let go. And so it's important to get into the frame of mind that there are ways that you can have your special foods, stick you to your traditions, but you still want to have the mindset to remain healthy throughout the month. I recall a speaker saying that, I think it was Abu Khadija, Allah yahfadhu, that people in Ramadan having gained several kilos, even though they're fasting. And this is something that you have to be mindful of because it is possible that you could be fasting all day, but with all of the changes that happen during the month, you end up in a condition that is worse than it was when you started out. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for well being. So, again, we want to enter into the month as we're preparing, also preparing our mind and our mindset to remain healthy throughout the month. So I wanted to cover some do's and don'ts that will help with that. Some like simple guidelines. So the do's. Have a high protein suhoor. So when it comes to suhoor, um, make sure that you have mostly proteins and not carbs. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Proteins satiate your body. They give you the building blocks to maintain the cells in your body, and they also are they last longer. You know, they help build your body. So you want to start your day in a building state because you're going to be fasting all day. So high protein thing will be things like eggs, sausages, or other meat other meat that you could have. Uh, Meat stock is a good thing to have in the morning. Yogurt, sour cream. These are the types of things that you want to have at suhoor. You also want to have a high protein iftar. Okay? So at iftar, you want to have your meats, and of course, you can have veggies, salads, and things like that on the side, but you don't want it to be very carb heavy. Again, you've been fasting all day, and so at the end of the day, you also want to have building blocks, things that's going to help build your cells and nourish your body at the end of the day. Limit fruits and sweets. A lot of times we tend to, I know people where I am and um, cultures here tend to have a lot of fruit at iftar and even at suhoor. And then it will be followed up with sweets at the end of the day. You want to limit that because when you've been fasting all day, you don't want to load up your body with sugars. Okay. And when you load up your body with sugars, then it lends to a sugar crash later. So someone mentioned earlier about fatigue. This is one of the things that can do that when you have high sugar. So let's say, for example, you eat a lot of fruit at suhoor. Well, that's going to give you some quick energy in the beginning, but once that is used up, then it's going to cause a crash. Okay. And include more animal fats with meals. So in your meals, include fats. And the animal fats are like butter. Animal fats will be like butter, ghee, cream, tallow, lamb fat, all of those animal fats. And you can also include olive oil and coconut oil here. But ideally, you want to have animal fats. Animal fats are satiating. It means satiation means it gives your body the signal that you have eaten and that you don't need any more. And so your body knows that it has what it needs. And so you don't tend to overeat, and you have energy, appropriate energy to get what you need done during the day. This is helpful, especially at night when we're standing in prayer, to have that energy from our proteins and our fats, and this becomes a sustained source of energy, unlike the quick burning energy from sugars. Okay, good. I have a question here. For those who are trying to stop having caffeine, what would you advise with? I would say stop having it from now. Start early and start weaning yourself off of the caffeine. And this is one of those good habits that many people actually learn to, they do it like every Ramadan, but they don't keep the habit. Okay, we're going to talk about habits a little bit later. So start from now. Start weaning yourself off of the caffeine from now, so that you won't have that drop or that withdrawal when you're fasting. You also don't want to, well, that's in the don'ts, but yeah, just start from now not having the caffeine. Okay, so your don'ts. Don't have high carb suhoor. High carb suhoor would be like croissants, pancakes, um, sandwiches with lots of bread, these types of things. So porridge, example, maybe halwa or oatmeal. You don't want to have a high carb suhoor because carbs turn to sugars and they burn quite quickly and they don't last. They don't give you lasting energy. Another thing that carbs do is people feel like they keep you full longer. Really, what they do is because they are complex and difficult to digest, they sit in your digestive system. So they're not actually moving. So once you've gotten the energy that you need from it, it just sits in your body. And that's not a good thing. It tends to ferment in a way in your body, and this can actually cause you problems. So you don't want to have high carb suhoor. You also don't want to have a high carb iftar. And like I explained earlier, those carbs will then turn to sugars. They might give you a quick burst of energy, but then you will dip later. Another thing that happens if you have digestive issues, having all of those carbs at iftar might cause you to have digestive issues. So this could be like bloating, gas, belching, just generally feeling heavy. And so you don't want to have these types of symptoms when you're trying to pray at night. Okay. You don't want to drink juices and drinks. So some cultures or some people have a habit of serving juices and drinks. So this could be fresh pressed juices or 100% natural juices, or it could be drinks like Tang and Vimto and um, can't remember the other one right now, but it's, juices that are made out of syrups. Okay, so they have these at iftar instead of having water. You want to drink water instead of the sugary drinks because this has the same effect. So you're drinking your sugars. You don't want to have fruits with meals. Okay, so if you're having a main meal that includes proteins, meats, you know, and other things, but you want to have fruit, have your fruit separately from the meal, about 30 to 40 minutes away from the time you've eaten. So let's say, for example, you've had iftar and you go pray tarawih. Have your fruits, after tarawih, but you also want to give that time to digest because you don't want to sleep with the fruits in your system. Okay, and you don't want to have heavy meals at iftar time. So at the time of breaking fast, the sunnah is to have dates and water. Now, sometimes people have a lot more than this. So they will have the dates and water, but they also have like um, samosas, croissants, um, mini donuts, other sweets, lots of fruit. And so it becomes more than just the iftar. So break your fast, pray, and then come back and have your meal. You don't want to have all of that happening right at the time when you break your fast because it stresses your system because you've been fasting all day and then you have heavy foods that you're placing right on top of that at the time that you're breaking your fast. So let your breaking your fast be light and then come back for a meal. Okay, so I have a question here. What about dates? Yes, have dates. Okay, but you can monitor how many dates you have. 1, 2, 3. That's generally enough. And for people who are concerned about their blood sugar, just have one date. Okay, or have the dates along with some type of fat. So have date with butter, dates with ghee, dates with coconut oil, for example. And this practice is actually prevalent in Arab cultures where they will serve the dates along with ghee and you dip the date in the ghee and eat it together. Herbal tea, yes, herbal tea is fine. You can yeah, herbal tea is fine. What would an ideal suhoor look like? Okay, your ideal suhoor would be mostly proteins. So those food items, like I mentioned, and you can adapt it to what you would typically eat. But in our household, for example, it would be eggs, some type of meat. It could be sausage, it could be liver, it could be cooked chicken, things like that. Uh, Yogurt or sour cream, okay, and a ferment. Okay, so we also have ferments in the morning. So this could be like an ideal suhoor. You could also add in there food, beans, like a bean dish would be fine. So you want to have mostly protein and fewer carbs. What's your thoughts on Celtic salt with water to increase hydration? Excellent question. And I was going to mention that a little bit later. Yes, add salt. It could be Celtic salt, it could be Himalayan salt, any type of natural salt, but not table salt. Okay, any type of natural salt, add it to your water. So as you're drinking water in the morning at suhoor and you're drinking water at your iftar, add some pinches of salt to it. Salt helps with hydration. It helps with basically absorbing the moisture from the water. How do we manage the fiber needs? Here, it's likely you need more water. Okay, but can you be a little bit more specific when we get to the Q&A, inshallah? All right. Okay, keep asking your questions because I will go back during the Q&A and answer those, inshallah. Okay. So what should you do to manage during the month? And this is a question I get often, especially from moms who have started the GAPS diet already or they're considering it. What should you do to manage during the month? Okay, so recall we said there's a lot of things going on. We have special foods, we have traditions, we have the celebratory mood where we have more fruit and more cakes and more candies that are handed out. Then we're eating, we're visiting, so we're eating different foods outside of our home. How do you manage? Okay. So first way you can manage is if you're invited somewhere. Let's say you're invited to a relative's home. Bring meals to share. Okay. This is one way to manage when you're concerned about maintaining your health and maintaining your diet. So bring meals to share. So bring something with you that you could share with everyone that would be appropriate for you to eat. Another way that you can manage it is by hosting iftar yourself. And this is something that we did when we were on the GAPS diet. We actually hosted our whole family and did an entire GAPS meal at that iftar. Uh, Many people, our family members, they didn't know that it was, basically 100% GAPS friendly, but we served them what we would have eaten. So we hosted the iftar with the foods that we eat. If you're out and about or you're visiting, simply eat smaller portions. So let's say, for example, you might be limiting pasta or rice or bread. Say that you're limiting these things, anything with wheat or grains, you're limiting them. But you're out and maybe you're visiting and you don't want to offend your host, or you just don't have appropriate options, right? Just eat smaller portions. So less rice, less pasta, skip the bread. Okay, go for the proteins. Look for things that are appropriate for you to eat. Still try to maintain high protein if you can, but one of the ways to manage it is just to eat less. And this actually becomes easier as you go through the month because we tend to, after fasting for so long, we tend to actually eat less anyway. Stick to recommended foods. Okay. So wherever you are in your journey, try to stay as close to those foods as possible. I recall I was working with a client. At the time, she went and traveled and she was away from her home and she was out with friends at a gathering. And she said she realized that this was actually something that you can do. That often when you're out, or you're at someone's home, you can choose what you want to eat. You have choices. And so simply choose the things that are appropriate. So she gave the example of, there was the punch bowl with lemonade, but the lemonade had think it was Sprite. It had soda in it. And so she was like, I just left that, drank water, and didn't have any of those types of things. So we shouldn't forget that we can always make choices, even if you're visiting someone's home, again, smaller portions, or just simply choose the foods that are appropriate. So now let's say you did all of that, but you still end up eating things that are off the diet or things that you were avoiding for the time at the time, or the children. Let's say you're doing it with your children, you're doing a diet with your children, and they end up with a piece of cake and a lollipop. Very common. What do? Leave it, you know, let that happen, and then afterwards have more stock, more fat, and detox fats. Okay? These three measures actually help the body get rid of whatever was consumed. Okay, so it helps the body flush it. So just have more stock, more fat, and detox fats. Okay. Ramadan is an opportunity for change. Okay, and so there are many things that we really have that we want to do. We want to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to pray during the night. We want to read more Quran. We want to make more dua. Yes. You also should want to leave the month in a better state physically than you were when you started. Okay? You want to leave cleansed, both spiritually and physically. To do that, again, you want to be in the mindset to do that. So these are 5 points to think about. And inshallah, I want to run a challenge next week based on these 5 points to help you actually build them out and have them ready for when Ramadan starts. So you have them available to you as a reference point to keep you on track. So the first thing you want to do is know what you want to achieve and why. Okay. So during this month, what do you want to achieve in your health? What is something that you're working on? Are you working on body pain? Are you working on fatigue? Are you working on losing some pounds? Are you working on your mindset and negative thinking? Do you feel overwhelmed and you want more energy? What are you working on? And why are you working on these things? What is the effect that it has on your daily life? If you're fatigued, what is the effect that it has on your life? Why do you want to remove the fatigue? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to be pain free? Note these things because once you know where you want to be and why, this gives you the motivation to keep moving forward, inshallah. Then you want to set SMART goals. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. Is timed. So you want goals that are very clear. You don't want to say like, um, I want to lose weight. Okay. That's your goal. How much weight do you want to lose? By when? And is it something that you actually can do? So take a look at your goals and form your goals and make them very clear and measurable so that you know, like, I've reached this, that you've actually reached it once you do the actions needed to achieve your goals. So that's the next thing. So if you have your goals that are clear and very specific, then you know the actions that you can take. So you want to outline or put into place the actions that you need to achieve your goals. Then you want to foster lasting habits. Like I was mentioning earlier about the caffeine. There are people who cut their caffeine during Ramadan. They start drinking herbal teas in the morning, or they don't drink any tea at all, and they don't have caffeine all day. But right after Ramadan, they go back to having their coffee first thing in the morning. Okay. If you're able to leave off the caffeine during Ramadan, and Ramadan is a full month, which is about the time frame they tell you need to develop a new habit. You need about 21 days consistently, like doing a thing for 21 days consistently helps you build a good habit. Okay. So if you've built a good habit of going through your day without caffeine, keep it. Make it a lasting habit. If you have built the habit of drinking a good amount of water, a liter or more of water in a day, keep that habit. Be consistent with it. Keep it after Ramadan. Okay. So use this opportunity where you're actually looking at the days, because during Ramadan we tend to know every single day. Today's the first, second, third. So use that time because you're tracking the days. Use it to foster lasting habits. So after the end of the month, keep the habits that you formed. Don't go back on them. And then consider your next steps. What are you going to do after Ramadan to keep the momentum or to keep what you have set out to do? So if you've set out to recover from overwhelm, fatigue, body aches and pains, or a health issue that you might have, asthma, allergies, arthritis, hormonal issues. What are you going to do next? And make that clear in your mind. Understand what you want to do. Because at the end of the month, we go through Eid, alhamdulillah, we celebrate having reached the end of the month and having spent that time in fasting, and praying and reading Quran and getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you want to keep going after that. Okay? You want to have a mechanism already in place so that you know my next step is toward my recovery. This is what I'm going to do. So consider what your next steps are. Okay. So with that, we move to Q&A, and I see there are a lot of questions in the chat. So I'll start with those, and you can continue to add as we go along. Okay. Okay. Let me go back to this question. How do we manage fiber needs? For fiber, actually, if you're asking this question in reference to constipation, you need more water and more fat. Okay. It's not necessarily the fiber that will help, although this is a common um, thought that people have, and is commonly taught that constipation is alleviated by dietary fiber. That is not necessarily the case. And in some cases, adding more fiber will make constipation worse. So if your question is in regards to constipation, then you want to drink more water, you want to have more fat, you want to have more meat stock. Okay, these are the things that will help with softening the stool and help you go. And then you have dates. Okay, you have dates every day, and dates also have fiber. If you're concerned about fiber in particular, dates also have fiber. Okay, Emma says, is it normal to feel cranky while fasting, or is that an indication of poor diet? It is an indication of poor diet. And uh, you will feel cranky in the beginning, okay, especially the first few days. This is a form of detoxification. Your body is going through a lot of processes when you start fasting. One of the processes that could happen is you're uh, you're having sugar withdrawals or caffeine withdrawals, and that will make you cranky. Okay. So, yes, it does go back to your diet and what's in your diet that you're cranky. Okay. What is a ferment? Ferments are foods that are, let's say, soured using natural processes or natural bacteria that's in the environment. So, sauerkraut, for example, beet kvass, um, fermented cucumbers, like pickles. Now, pickling is a different process, but yogurt, homemade kefir, these are all ferments. So there are foods that are preserved using the natural bacteria that's available in the environment. Okay. There were concerns surrounding lead associated with different sea salts, such as Celtic salt. Yes, there were. And we were recommended as GAPS coaches to just tell people to use Himalayan pink salt. Would sea salt be fine, or it just to be Celtic or Himalayan salt only? Sea salt is fine. Like the sister mentioned that there are some concerns about salts that are coming out of the sea now. Um, People are saying that the seas are contaminated, and so that contamination enters into the salt, which is why Himalayan salt was recommended because it's not in the sea, it's above ground. But natural salts, Himalayan salt, those will work, inshallah. Okay. SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timed. So you want to say by when you want to achieve this goal. Okay. So let's say, for example, you're trying to get off of caffeine before Ramadan. So specific, you want to not have any cups of tea or coffee. So measurable will be 0. Attainable, are you able to do this? Yes. Stop drinking the tea and coffee. Is it realistic? Yes, it is. You can stop drinking tea and coffee in the morning. By when? Before the first of Ramadan. So in about 7 days, maybe a little bit more, in about 7 days. Yes, very good. Time sensitive. Is GAPS diet, does GAPS diet help or repair poor vision with Allah's permission? I mean, is there any success stories about poor vision? Yes, it depends on what the cause of the poor vision is. But yes, during the diet can improve your eyesight. Will taking detox bath or enemas during the fast fatigue or dehydrate? Should we only do them during the evening? Just will be hard to fit it in the time. I would recommend okay, enemas should not be dehydrating. Neither are detox baths. However, you are detoxifying, so it's drawing things out of your body. So you might feel tired afterwards, especially if it's your first time or it's your first time doing it. So I do recommend that if you could do it in the evening, that would actually be, that's what I would recommend. Do it in the evening. So the last thing you do before you go to bed. Okay. So if you're concerned about your day and planning your day, do it at the end of the day before you lay down. And if you can't take a full bath, do a foot soak. So you could do a 15, 20-minute foot soak and then head to bed. Okay, meat is expensive, so we tend to eat a lot of eggs. Okay, that's good. But I can't think of what else to serve for suhoor with eggs. Suggestions, anyone? Okay, yeah, eggs are excellent. Fish, if it's available. Um, Yogurt, if you have that. So these are things that you could serve along with your eggs. Liver, will frozen liver still have benefits? Yes, it does. You can use frozen liver. I feel cold a lot when I fast. Is that a symptom of poor nutrition? Yes, it is. Um, you might have low iron, so you want to bring in liver into your diet. Okay? So yes, being cold is a symptom of poor nutrition. Um, if you're abnormally cold, then it's also a symptom of a, a dysfunction in your body. Okay, and that you want to work on. Okay, I didn't quite catch what was said, so we shouldn't use Celtic sea salt anymore. Mm, that was a recommendation that people not use it anymore. I would say it's your choice. You know, I've always used Himalayan salt because that's what is easily available here, and so that's what I've always used. If you can get Celtic salt easily, okay, if you can get Himalayan salt easily, use it. Um, I would say do what's easiest for you. I found Redmond Real Salt to be a reliable brand. Yes, that's one of the ones that's recommended as well. Redmond's Real Salt is also recommended. What do you need for a detoxifying foot soak? Okay, so you could put in there any one of these ingredients. You could put uh, Epsom salt or baking soda or apple cider vinegar or Himalayan salt or Celtic salt, any natural salt in there. So any one of those ingredients can go in your foot soak. When I had difficulty with fasting a few years, chia seeds noticeably helped me to get through the month. Okay. 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 So you say yes, abnormally cold. Yeah. If you're abnormally cold, yeah, you probably need more meat, more liver, and more fat. Are there any benefits in taking apple cider vinegar shots daily? People say there are benefits to doing that, so you could try it. It will be detoxifying. Are there any questions that I missed? Yes, inshallah. Will this be posted? Yes, inshallah. SubhanAllah. I wasn't going to mention my problem with not getting enough protein. Yeah. hmm So that would be something that you put on your goals, that you want to get more protein. Which specific foods or GAPS protocol would you benefit if you are a migraine sufferer. The GAPS diet itself. Okay, the GAPS diet itself will alleviate migraines if Allah wills, inshallah. So if you follow the GAPS diet well, you will not suffer from migraines, inshallah. So that's what I would recommend. Actually do the diet. Okay, alhamdulillah. Glad to hear that. Yeah. Yes, it's likely. I used to get very cold. Um, and at that time, I was always anemic. I always had low iron. It wasn't until I did the GAPS diet that anemia actually completely went away. So I recall spending my whole life being anemic, always cold fingers, cold toes. And so when I did the GAPS diet, alhamdulillah, I actually started introducing liver into my diet because I didn't eat liver before. I didn't like it, but I do eat it now and I do like it. Um, liver, heart. Heart is a very good source of iron. Also, um, there are different forms of iron. So if you're low on iron, it might not be sufficient to just go take a supplement. Like for me, I took supplements, but they didn't always work. And that's because there are different forms of iron. And if your body is already not in a good state, it might not use the iron from the supplements. Can't use it, can't access it. So basically, it just flushed through your body. So you're taking the iron supplements and it just flushes through. The best form of iron for your body is hemo, meaning it's iron that comes from meat. So meat, liver, heart meats, any animal, could be chicken, lamb, beef, heart. Eat these, okay? Inshallah. I mean, yes. It says, what about bulgur? Is that considered gluten? Yes, bulgur is made out of wheat. Jazakallah khair, very helpful. What amin wa iyaki. What do I substitute meats with?
Yeah.
What do I substitute meats with as it's high inflammatory for eczema, psoriasis, and chicken isn't great where I'm from. Okay. Look at, so I'm assuming here that you might also um, have food allergies, and you can tell me later if you do. However, it might not be the meats that's inflammatory initially. I mean, it is now. That's something that you've noticed that it triggers you. Do the GAPS diet, and when you do the GAPS diet, um, you will find that it's likely that that trigger is no longer there. Okay, so your gut will heal, inshallah, and it will no longer become a trigger. Okay, so look into the GAPS diet and doing the GAPS diet. Okay? And you don't have to have a lot of meat. Okay, this is, I think, a misconception that people have about GAPS diet, that you have to have some ridiculous amount of meat. You don't. You eat enough for your body. Okay, but you do have to have meats, because meats are actually are what your cells use to build. And so when we have high plant-based diets, you're not actually giving your body what it needs to repair. Okay. So start off with just small amounts. Doesn't have to be a lot, just small amounts every day, and you can build up your tolerance to it. Okay, it says I have that as well. Yeah, build up your tolerance to it. Start with very small amounts and build up your tolerance. Okay, so you said the chicken has too many hormones. Is that what you mean? Too many hormones, etc. What's a substitute for oatmeal? Mm, I haven't found a real substitute for oatmeal per se. You just eat other things. Find other things that you can add to your diet. I can't still have liver. Is there anything other than that to have for iron? Oh, yes, you can have heart, but why is it that um, you can't have liver? I know the GAPS diet can be intense, especially when you're dealing with die-off symptoms, while also taking care of your children. How did you manage to balance it all? Uh, you do it imperfectly. Never seek perfection. Okay. So, yes, you're going to go through your own die off. Um, what I recommend for moms to do is to start the diet themselves first before working with children. If they want to put the children on a diet as well, start with yourself first and get support in doing that so that you know how to navigate and manage the die off symptoms. Also, in the first few days, again, get support. Let someone know what you're doing, and perhaps if you could have someone just around to be with the kids to take care of them for a few days, not continuously, but just for a few days. Die off is not very long. It might feel like it is, but it's not. And so there are ways that you can manage the symptoms. Okay. One thing, like I said, I would let someone know, you know, to help support you at that time, especially in the first few days, within the first few weeks. And then after that, don't seek perfection. Don't try to do everything. If caring for the children is, your priority, do that, you know, but give your body time to start repairing. Okay. So plan for it. Okay? So in short, plan for it. Plan for it before you start. For me, the kids were going to Marcas in the morning. So I would get them prepared. And once they were out the door, I would sleep. I had a little one at the time. He was nursing. So I had a 7-month old. We started, he was around 6 months, 6, 7 months. He was nursing. But I would sleep, which is really essential when you're going through this process, especially in the beginning. So I would have him with me and we would just nap. But after the first few days, the opposite happened. I found that my energy started to pick up and I could do way more in my day than I could previously. So, yeah, it can be challenging in the beginning, but then inshallah, you see a shift and you get your energy back and, you know, life improves, inshallah. Do we get better results taking raw liver or is it sufficient to take it cooked? I've heard people say take it raw. I personally have not done that. I always cook it. I've cooked it and everyone I know cooks it. So it's, I don't know. For me, that is a personal choice. If you want to try it raw, do so. Um, Cooked, do so. Do what comes natural to you. I would put it that way. Do what comes natural to you. To me, having it raw was not, it wasn't appealing. So I never did that. But for some people, they like the idea of having it raw because they don't like to taste it. They just kind of swallow bits of the liver and it goes straight into their system and they don't have to taste it. So do what's natural for you. I have a problem with absorption from the supplements. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If your gut is already compromised, you already have a leaky gut, supplements are likely not going to be very beneficial. Do you have a recipe that helped you to incorporate liver in a way that you were able to grow to like it? Yes. Grind it up really small and put it in everything. For me, I would take pieces of liver, grind it until it became like a paste, then mix one part of the liver with 2 parts ground beef and make either sausages or meat patties or sauces to go with our meals. So that's what helped me. Grinding it first, then mixing it with ground beef, and then using the ground beef as you would normally. So meatballs, for example, I would use that mixture to make meatballs, and that's how we all ate it, and it's delicious actually. Uh, it became like my secret ingredient to sausages because adding that liver just gives it a really deep, rich flavor. So that's how I started. Then I just, would grind it and just use it the same way I use ground beef. And it got to the point where the kids couldn't even tell. So if I just grounded it and then just mix it, with onions or whatever I was making, just like I would use ground beef, I would just use the ground liver and that's it. Now I can tolerate having like chunks. Like in a lot of cultures, they just cut it up, fry it in some ghee with onions, and that's it. So alhamdulillah, now I can have it like that. Initially, though, I had to hide it, like a big kid. Which one is preferable, liver or kidney? For iron, liver. And it also has other vitamins like vitamin A in it. So start with liver. What about blackstrap molasses? Blackstrap molasses is a sugar. Okay? It does contain iron, but it is not an animal-based iron. So it might not do much, or you might have to consume a lot, which means you'll be consuming a lot of sugar. When it comes to the difference between animal products and plant products, things that we're eating, our bodies absorb the animal-based products much easier than the plants, and we don't need as much. You only need a small piece of liver to start feeling better. Whereas if you were doing using a plant to get the same amount of iron that you would in a small piece of liver, you would have to eat a lot of spinach, a lot of dates, a lot of, it would be a lot. So, if you can, start with small piece of liver. I have read that vitamin C also helps the body to absorb iron. Have you found this to be the case? I've read that too, and I do have it with things that contain vitamin C, but liver itself also contains vitamin C. What do you eat for iftar? Can you give an example of one or two of your meals? So we would have soups, stews, casseroles, and casseroles would be like baked meat with vegetables, or we would do like a baked chicken with a side of vegetables. Um, Vegetables could be like uh, carrots or cauliflower or cabbage. That's normally what we have. Or what else? We would do like a meatball stew or roasted lamb or slow cooked lamb. So I like to use a slow cooker, especially in for time management to just go ahead and put the meat in overnight. And so in the morning it's done. And so that's out of the way. Or you can put it on in the morning and by iftar is done. So that's something, I would do commonly is just put the meat in. You can actually in a slow cooker and you can actually put the vegetables in there as well, season it all, cover it, and by iftar you have your meal. So meat and vegetables is generally what we eat. Doctor ruled out food allergies. Yes, I've been considering the GAPS diet, inshallah. And Allah may give you success with that. Sorry, my phone was dead and I missed about strong liver benefits. Please, could you repeat? Oh, liver benefits. Liver is very good for you. Liver contains iron, also contains vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin C. So there are a lot of benefits to eating liver. Okay. Hasina says, I struggle to make enough stock for the family. I have to wait to get through the meat used for the stock. Um, for the stock before making a new batch. So it feels we are not getting enough stock to drink each day. Okay. In this case, uh, batch make your stock. So make some stock ahead of time. You can freeze the meat. Ideally, you want to have the meat along with the stock. Okay, so turn your stock into soups. So the stock that you make, take the meat that you made the stock with and put it back into the stock and make a soup with it or make a stew with it. Stew is like a curry, almost curry consistency, where there's meat, vegetables, and it's a little bit wet, but it's not as wet as a soup. So you want to eat that meat that you're making the stock out of, and to do that, you need to add it back to the stock to make soups or stews. Is there any specific cases of poor vision when it comes for healing during gaps? Uh, is there any specific causes of poor vision when it comes to healing during gaps? I have found that there's a correlation between how much sugar a person has and their vision. Yes, do it imperfectly. We don't expect if you come into the gaps world, there are two principles that we stick to. Some gaps is better than no gaps, and never seek perfection because no one is ever going to do it perfectly because no one's perfect. So you do it imperfectly, and you'll still get results, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for this information. Amin wa yaki. How long does die off take? That's very individual. Okay, so it's no real time frame. Most symptoms are 1 to 3 days. Many of the symptoms are 1 to 3 days, but it's very individual. I'm on my second month of intro. I feel really tired still and hair falling, etc. PM me, but typically, okay, feeling tired is because you're not eating enough. That is generally what happens, and it's when people are doing the diet by themselves. This is a very common mistake that's made, that you end up in a fasting state instead of eating. As women, we have a lot of subconscious beliefs about food and eating. And one of them is that if you eat frequently, you're going to get fat. So we subconsciously don't eat. Or we want specific things, and so we don't eat. There are adults who are picky eaters, and when they have to eat GAPS foods, instead of eating, they tend to wait long hours and not eat. When you're doing the diet, anytime you're hungry, eat. You don't want to go long hours without having a meal. That's another thing that is subconscious, that we have three set meals a day. And you'll find that you might actually need to eat more than three times. You have to eat six times, you know, four, five, six times a day. They might not be big meals, but you have to eat more frequently. So I've worked with ladies who complain. They're like, I'm having to eat so many times, and that's okay. When your body is hungry, it's signaling to you that it needs more energy to function. Okay, so keep kind of monitor your day. If you're only having one or two meals, this could be part of the problem. If you're going long hours without eating, this could be part of the problem why your energy levels aren't picking up. If you're not having enough stock or you're not having enough fat, okay, all of these things, once you increase them, you will likely see the benefit. But I've seen where working with ladies that they restrict themselves. You don't want to restrict. You really want to eat. You have to feed your body in order for it to recover. Okay. Hair fall can be a die-off symptom. And this typically happens when a person has a very toxic system. And part of getting the toxicity out is coming through the scalp. So when the toxicity is shed, some of the hair is shed with it, but the hair comes back uh, thicker, fuller, stronger. Okay. As one sister said, she was like, I am a totally new person inside and out. Okay. Because she experienced that as well. But the result is your hair comes back better. But in this case, for you, I would say it's likely that you're not eating enough, but PM me, inshallah. I want to do introduction diet during Ramadan, inshallah. Is it is it a good time? I would say evaluate your life. Okay. Consider how it's going to affect you. It's a good time in the sense that um, uh, it's a time period where you'll be restricting, but also you do want to be able to eat because unlike dieting, um, when you start the introduction diet, it starts a recovery process. And this is, I think, some idea that a lot of people don't understand. Really is starting to rebuild your body. And so you want to be able to feed your body what it needs to rebuild. Okay. Yeah, it says raw is not appealing. Yeah, the raw liver. Alhamdulillah, it's reassuring to hear that it might be an imperfect experience. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Uh, you can soak liver in milk for about 30 minutes, then boil it for until it's almost ready. Pour that water, then fry it and fry it. Add new water. It will be very nice. Yes. Um, I discovered that other cultures have processes to cooking liver, and it makes it taste completely different. It's so nice. I had a friend that's from Ethiopia, and she makes it, and you wouldn't. Well, personally, I was like, "This is liver, really?" It was so delicious, and I'm about it. Aliyah. Do I eat any starches? Yes, I do. Potatoes. We've added potatoes back into our diet, so I eat potatoes. Um, we have bread occasionally. We have oatmeal. Yeah, I added oatmeal back. Um, yeah, those would be the main ones. Potatoes, sometimes bread, not often. And oatmeal. Again, it's not something that we kind of do every single day. It's not like that, but we do have it. Please share slow cooker recipes or where can I find them? Okay, let me think on that, inshallah. Are you on the WhatsApp group? What seasons do you use that are gas approved? Okay, it depends on where you are in your journey. However, all herbs are always fine. Okay, starting from stage 2, you can use any herbs, and herbs are the leaves or the green parts of a plant that are aromatic. They have a nice smell, and they add flavor to foods. So no matter what stage you are, um, you can always add herbs, and that can be dry or fresh. If milk is not preferable in GAPS diet, then just boil the liver, then fry. Oh, you can use milk. It's fine. What is the best way to store liver? Is it okay to freeze it? Yes, it's okay to freeze liver. That's my issue. Sometimes I don't see the right choice, so I don't eat. It's not the healthiest option, or I'm busy, so I don't eat for hours on end. Yeah, yes, that can be a major issue. Okay, so by here, the right choice, I'm going to ask you to evaluate what you mean by right choice, because sometimes it's it as adults we can be picky eaters and we don't know it. And so if we don't see exactly what we want to eat, don't eat. Okay? So if that's the case, then that is something that you want to change. And the picky eating can be a root cause of the health issues that you're facing. Wallahu a'lam. I normally start my iftar porridge. Shall I stop having it? Um, it's not what I would recommend. But you look at what your goals are and where you want to be. And if if you find that it might be better to remove it, then remove it. But I would say, it's my recommendation that at iftar time, dates and water, not much else. And then afterwards, have mostly protein and vegetables. And by the way, you do get carbohydrates from vegetables. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, so that's a Ugandan recipe. Nice, mashallah. I mean, wa iyaki. Yeah. Would it be possible to be added to the WhatsApp group, please? Jazakallah khair. Yes. Let me see if I can snag the link and put it in here. Should give me just a second. How long did you do the diet before adding potatoes, oatmeal, and bread? 2 years. We did a full 2 years, and then I started adding those things back in moderation. Okay, in moderation is potatoes we do eat sometimes daily, but more so in moderation. Um, we also eat buckwheat, but buckwheat is not always available. It's very seasonal. Amaranth sometimes. Started using amaranth flour for certain things, but not always. So we do have certain things, just not always. But the question was, how long did we do the diet before adding it? 2 years. So we did it 2 years. I mean, what yaki? Is it okay to eat sweet potatoes and sweet corn? Okay, it depends on what your goals are. Okay, um, sweet potatoes and sweet corn have a common word in it, sweet. Okay, so that's going to kind of let you know where they fall. They are sweet and they have sugars in it. So if you are trying to monitor your sugar, so these two things might be something that you you don't want to have, especially on a regular basis, or you want to just completely remove. Corn is a grain, and grains are difficult to digest, corn being one of the hardest grains to digest, so they tend to sit in your system and ferment. So again, go back to what your goals are, where you want to be and why, and see if having these foods are serving you, if it's good for you. If it's not good for you, if it's not making you feel good, then don't have them. Yes, we do eat sweet potatoes. Back to the other sister's questions. Yes, we eat sweet potatoes also. Yes, I would like to be added to the group as well. I am currently under my daughter's account. I will be joining under my name, inshallah. Okay, let me see if I can grab that link real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay, can you see the link? Can everyone see the link there? Okay, okay, great. Okay, yeah. So if you join the group, inshallah, over the next week, starting on Monday, I'm going to do a short challenge, just a 5-day challenge without the outline that I set out earlier here. And we're going to turn this into a challenge and actually build it out so you have it before Ramadan and have it available for you so it becomes something that you can refer to as you're going through your month, inshallah. So look forward to that. Jazakallah khair. Ameen wa iyaki again for your time. May Allah preserve you. Ameen. Alhamdulillah. May Allah allow us to reach Ramadan and benefit. Ameen. And the other thing about liver, it usually has a membrane. It's best to peel it off. Yeah. Peel it off before cooking. Yes. Like has like a kind of a hard skin on it. Yes. Okay. If there are no more questions, join the group if you're not already on the group. And look forward to the 5-day challenge. It should be coming on Monday, inshallah. And I will talk to you soon. Ameen wa jazaki. Ameen wa iyakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم